your marriage been able to survive? Is it because you're a pastor? And that's why your marriage is doing well. You've been able to endure marriage, or you have been able to come this far. Would you attribute that because you are into the pastoral ministry, and that's why?
I wouldn't say so. As I said, I actually went into ministry in 1998. So,
okay.
But my marriage was already on a solid ground.
Okay.
And a lot of the things I know, I think I knew them already, was practicing them before I went into ministry.
Okay.
I think really if you don't prepare well, your marriage well, and you go into ministry, the enemy tends to attack you more.
Okay.
In fact, if you let me, one thing which helped me a lot to marriage, helped me understand, was that when I was in college, somebody came to give us a talk. And the college I went to was it was supposed to be co-ed, but there were a lot of men. And he made a statement that many of us are very good Christians, we are spiritual. But one mistake we make in life is that we think that women are just like men, except that physically they are different. They have certain qualities we don't have. So after the meeting, I went to him and I asked him, but isn't that true? And he started to laugh. So he told me to go and read a book called The Total Man, and I bought that book and I read it, and that really changed my perspective. And I realized that women and men were very, very different. So that was my first eye-opener. So when I got married and I saw my wife doing things differently, I had an understanding that she's a woman, I'm a man, and we are different.
Okay. Thank you for that. And so during this, we just finished the Valentine's celebration. What was the word you had for couples? What did you tell them? What did you say to people in order to strengthen their relationship? What was your message for couples this Valentine, you and your wife?
Okay, the message we preached this year, we actually based all our sermons on Proverbs 31.
Okay.
Proverbs 31 is a passage that people refer to as the virtuous wife or the virtuous woman or the wife of noble character. So we think it's about women. But what we try to do this year is to show the church that Proverbs 31 was actually a message that was taught to a man by his mother.
Okay.
And so my wife focused on the basic idea of the ideal woman, her character and her responsibilities. And I tried to go out to show them why this was written to a man, the relevance of Proverbs 31, how a man makes a virtuous wife, but doesn't just find her. Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much. Let's come back today to our topic for discussion. And today we are talking about the importance of premarital counseling. My first question for you is that what is your definition for premarital counseling? What is premarital counseling?
I think premarital counseling is counseling that prepares you for marriage. Basically, you have accepted Christ, you are born again, but you want to get into marriage. That's a whole different thing. So you need to be taught about marriage. When your wife is born again, you are born again. The two of you are coming together, but you still need to be taught. And so that is what I call premarital counseling. When any couple comes to me and they want to get married, they talk about planning the wedding. But the wedding is a one-day event.
Okay.
The life you will live after the wedding is what we come to talk about in premarital counseling.
Okay. And the next question is, who needs premarital counseling? Who needs it? Is it just the couples? The reason why I'm asking this question is because now somebody has found their lover and they are trying to get married now. They need this. However, what about those who have been married before also? They were married, their husbands were deceased, or they went through divorce, now they are planning to remarry. Do they also need premarital counseling? Who needs it? Who must go for premarital counseling?
I think, everybody who is going to get married needs premarital counseling. But I'll say to a large extent, it depends on who is doing it. When I do marriage counseling, I don't just give you information. So if, for example, it's the first time you are going to get married, you will have some surprises. premarital counseling to teach you what marriage is about. But during the session also, you have to learn to connect with the person you are going to get married to understand them, and they also understand you, because everybody is unique. If you've been married before, say you've been divorced or your spouse passed away, you face different issues in marriage, because you can marry a new person, be like your former spouse, which is wrong. So we need to meet, say, look, in the counseling we'll cover issues like this, a very different person going to marry. Not expect that person to be like your former spouse. So whether it's the first time, you've been married before, you've lost a spouse, all of those things, in all cases, you need to do the marriage counseling, because I've seen a case where a man was widowed and he married very quickly. It was because his family put pressure on him that get married so you can get over your spouse who passed away. That was a very big mistake.
Okay.
Because he should have got over his old spouse before he got married. And this lady jumped in quickly and married him without going through counseling.
Okay.
And unfortunately, that marriage did not work because there were issues they should have dealt with before they went into.
So you are saying that apart from new couples who are trying to marry for the first time, people who in the past have gone through divorce or have their spouses were dead cannot bring their old experience to their new marriage. Hey, I've been married before. I know my mistakes. I know how to handle men now. So let me going in right now with this new person. I'm going to use my old experience. You are saying you can't enter into new relationships.
You can't do that.
Okay.
If you've been married before, your situation is even worse than the person going in new, because some of your experiences are so negative, and if you don't take care, for example, if you divorce your spouse because, like the Bible says, because the spouse committed adultery, and you come into a new marriage, and then there will be no trust, because you think some women will think all men cheat, or the man whose wife had cheated on him before is going to always suspect the new wife. So you need to forgive and forget, and that issue needs to be addressed in the counseling.
Okay.
It needs to be addressed in the counseling. A woman who was in an abusive relationship, the husband was physically abusive to her. If a man is marrying that woman, he must be aware of it and know how to handle her because of her past experience. So all of these things, there may be some issues should be the same for all of you, but if you've been married before, there are additional issues you need to talk about so that you don't punish your new spouse. You don't hold your new spouse accountable for the sins of your old spouse.
Wow, that's very deep. My third question is who is qualified to give premarital counseling? The reason why I'm saying this is because of recent times we have some ministers who are really messing up people's relationship because they were church members who went to pastors for counseling, and the kind of advice or counseling they received, it rather damaged the marriage. And so I'm asking that who is qualified? Does every pastor qualify to give marriage counseling? And also we have the fivefold ministry. We have the prophet, the teacher, the apostle, the evangelist, the pastor. Any of them, can they give marital counseling and push couples into marriage? Who is qualified to give premarital counseling?
I think premarital counseling is really a part of the pastoral ministry, and I encourage every pastor to learn how to do it. I, for example, did take a course with the American Association of Christian Counselors to learn, even though I knew a lot already from experience. When I went into pastoring, I actually took a course to learn about marriage, and I learned a lot of new things. You can never know too much. It's not psychology, but you also need to pray for God to give you the grace to be able to do it. Because when you sit with people to counsel them, what they tell you may not be the real problem. So you need discernment. You need empathy. You must be committed to marriage. It takes a lot of patience, especially when you are counseling couples who have problems. It needs a lot of grace, and discernment. thing too I say is this: if you are having problems in your own marriage, it can be a problem in a way. One of the things about ministry is that when you minister to people, for example, a woman has a problem with the husband. They come to me as a man to counsel them. And I'm counseling her. And everything the husband is doing wrong, I am saying how he should do it right. The woman begins to think that I'm a perfect man. But you need a special grace so you don't take advantage of it to ruin that person's marriage because the wife is looking up to you. Next thing you know, you are talking to the wife more than the husband. Instead of pointing the wife back to the husband, you are now beginning to point the wife back to yourself. So you are stealing her heart. I hope you get me.
That's right. That's
so
right.
That is also something that you need to prepare yourself spiritually before God. Let God prepare you. It's a ministry. You can't just go and learn the psychology and say, I'm going to do it. It doesn't work